Welcome to the Metal Bob Live podcast. I am your host, Metal Bob. Today's show is brought to you by Legend Picks and also artist Jeremiah Kalleck. You can find links to our sponsors and more at the Metal Bob Live website. There you can also find links to the latest Metal Bob gear, including shirts, hoodies, and more. On today's show, I had the honor of speaking with vocalist Andrew Elt from the Sleeze Beez, The Moon, and his most current project, 7 Miles to Pittsburgh. We discussed 7 Miles to Pittsburgh, we discussed the Sleeze Beez, have a few laughs, and more. So sit back, have a listen, and enjoy the show. Thank you. All right, on the phone with me is Mr. Andrew Elt, former Sleeze Beez, The Moon, and his current project, 7 Miles to Pittsburgh. Andrew, thank you so much for your time today. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Doing great.
Yeah?
Yeah, man. So, I've really got to check out the 7 Miles to Pittsburgh here this past week, and I got to tell you, man, I really enjoyed it.
Oh, cool, man. That's awesome. You know, that's like I said, it's a relatively new. I mean, it's something I've been doing for the last 5 years. Yeah, totally different from the good old days, as it were.
Right.
But something that...
you know what I really dug about it? You guys, who's playing the keys on this? Is it one of your other band members? Do you guys got a hired keyboard player? I heard some pretty good keys in some of them songs.
We had a guy come in on the first album, a guy I know in Holland. But our guitar player, Joris, who's also a great drummer and a good keyboard player, he's kind of the guy that comes up with all the riffs and stuff. On the second album, we actually have our keyboard player that's in the band.
Right on.
He's he came up with that badass solo in I think it's In Time, the one with the mini moog and stuff like that. He's like an old school guy, you know, likes all the older sounds and stuff. So yeah, it was a team effort. The second one, the first one was more or less just the core project that we had, which was me, the bass player, and the guitar player.
Right. You you lended some guitars to some of them too, right?
Yeah, just a little bit. I didn't really contribute that much to the recording. Just little bits here and there, but obviously when you translate all those guitar parts to a live environment, then I get to play a bit more, because there's just more intricate stuff in there that needs to be played live by two guitar players instead of one. You know, in the studio you have the luxury of dubbing yourself, so it wasn't really necessary. And I'm like, if it's good, it's good. You know what? I don't really have to, put my stamp on it, as it were.
Right. Do you have
I got enough time and trouble with my own vocal, let alone intricate guitar parts.
Right. Fair enough. So do you have a favorite between the two albums that are currently out and available?
No, not really. It's that old cliche, who's your favorite kid?
Right. I know some people might be able to answer that,
Yeah, they might be, yeah. But no, it's the first one was just the way it came about. The first one will always be kind of memorable, because it just really started out as some ideas that Joris and Martin had come up with over previous years before we got together, and I've said it in a few interviews, I wasn't really up to doing something with it. It was a lot more prog than it is now.
Mm-hmm.
And, like 12-minute intros before the vocal is allowed to come in, that's where I pass. I'm like, what am I going to do for 12 minutes? Right.
Yeah.
No, yeah. It was just a little bit too intricate for me. And they, credit to the guys, they gave me carte blanche as far as arranging the ideas came. So I just basically took, a big pair of scissors and started chopping it up into bite-sized, for me at least, pieces. And that's how it came about. So as far as collaboration goes with other musicians, this has been by far the easiest one to do, because everybody's open to anything, and that's kind of cool. You get things done quicker and more efficiently, and it's not a lot of milling around, trying to get things right. And, I want it this way because this is my idea, man, and all that, none of that. So, but the first one was kind of it just happened. It wasn't, when we started recording, it wasn't even, in the planning to release as an album or, form a band. It was just something that we were doing in between stuff that we were doing. The second one, obviously, then was more, okay, we need to do a second album now. And it came about differently because basically those ideas were already there and we knew how we were going to work it this time. The first one took a while. It took about a couple of years, actually. Not that it took that long because we didn't know what we were doing, but it was just I was touring with other bands as a tour manager, or I was, we didn't really have the time. They were doing other stuff. So it was like in between what we were normally doing. So that's why it took so long. The second one, a bit faster, and hopefully this one will be a lot faster too.
Okay. Well, one question I did have, and I couldn't wait actually to ask you this, was the name 7 Miles to Pittsburgh. Who came up with that?
Well, I'd like to say it was me. I wrote the song Pittsburgh, the one on second song, third song on the album.
Right.
And it was something I had experienced in the States. It was kind of something that, because that's how you come up with ideas. It's not so much that I write about experiences and it's all what I experienced from A to Z. It's more like, okay, I witnessed that, and then I take that idea, and it evolves. You storytelling. You make things up. It's like a movie. Based on real facts, but to give it some dynamic and some viewing pleasure, you change bits. And this was what happened with this song Pittsburgh. And so when it came time, hey, we need a name for the band. It's like that's the most difficult thing in the world right now, is because all the names, all the good names are taken,
Right. Yeah. It is tough to come up.
Back when the Beatles, it was the Beatles, the Who, the Kinks, the Pretty Things, it was all, just regular words. If you for lack of a better explanation, the names got more intricate. But now, like, oh, I got a great name. I had a really good one called the Saturn V.
Okay.
Saturn V being that rocket that took the first man to the moon.
Right.
And I thought the Saturn V was cool. There's 5 of us taken. Damn. So, but you go on the internet and you just need to type in that word, and then there's a covers band out of Montana that's called the Saturn V, and you're like, okay, well, that one's taken. So we went through all this, man. Came up with some really cool names, and just after a while, it was like, hey, we need a name. Right. Record's done, sleeves done, everything's done. We haven't got a name. So I said, well, let's just choose the titles of one of our songs. Maybe that. So I came, okay, 7 Miles to Pittsburgh. And we looked that up, and nobody was stupid enough to have a name like that. so we said, well, after a while, it's just like, what's in a name, right? I read an interview with Dave Grohl, Foo Fighters, when he came up, that he still regrets having come up with that name, Foo Fighters.
Really?
And I'm like, that's a cool name, man, for a band. But I guess the name evolves, it becomes separate to the actual meaning. And for him, it was just something that he wrote on his demo when he wrote his first album. It's like, and it stuck. So, but it's the same if you the Rolling Stones. I mean, really, if you just take away the image of that band and just say, I'm going to call my band the Rolling Stone. Okay. But it just becomes something else. It's, it doesn't relate to the actual words anymore. So, yeah, I'm in hindsight, it's a cool name.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I kind of did the thing backwards. I actually went and listened to the second album first, and then I went back and listened to the first album.
All right.
I really dug Bad Enough and Olympus. I thought them were the first 2 tracks off of Revolution on Hold, excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. And you guys did a great job, man. I really enjoyed both those records.
Yeah. And it's another thing about those records is, I mean, I've always, whenever I've made records, back in the day with Sleeze Beez, it was always like a big studio with, giant, desk and huge speakers and a producer, and cost a hell of a lot of money. back in the day. If you didn't have a record company, then you couldn't make a record. That was basically it. But nowadays it's totally different. You can, if you have some bits and pieces, some good speakers and a computer and some good microphones, then you can make an album. All you need is good songs and some good ideas.
Right.
And that's how we did ours. It was totally independent. No record company. We made our own record company, which is just a name. You just need it to actually release an album. Mm-hmm. And we recorded it, in our own little studio setup, which is, your place looks tidier than our studio, man. I mean, there's cables everywhere and equipment and stuff, but it works,
Right.
Roll up, to start. Well, I was going to say start the tape, but there's no tape involved nowadays. So we did all that ourselves, all the production and the mixing, and that's a good feeling because you're not tied to anybody's opinion or, if you don't do it this way, then we're going to cut your budget kind of thing, which was back in the day. You tend to listen to your record companies and, they maybe force a producer on you. I try this guy, I try that guy. But this is just us,
Right.
Don't listen to anybody, just make something. And that's a kind of a breath of fresh air, man, to write songs and record stuff like that.
Absolutely. And it's up to you guys. You guys are driving the ship. So
yeah, exactly.
So, yeah. And I also was going to ask you too, man. So I heard, I didn't hear, I know for a fact that you were tour manager for Walter Trout. I was kind of interested in that. Could you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, I've been working for Walter now this year. Well, last year would have been 20 years.
Okay.
And it's something that I kind of rolled into round about, we talked about this last week, round about the turn of the millennium, 2000 is when, Sleeze Beez stopped as a band in 96. And then I did The Moon, and I had a covers band going here in Holland that had some work and stuff. And then I happened to, and I was doing some stage managing gigs just to, have some money and stuff. And I did a festival in my hometown with, where I was working the stage, but I also performed. We did a little Beatles medley as an opening thing for this big festival. And he saw that, and he's a big Beatles fan. And he complimented me as I came off stage, which, that happens a lot. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to end up working for the guy. But in this case, he was on after us, and a quick change of clothes for me, and I was the stage manager for his gig. And he saw that, recognized that. We got talking after the gig and exchanged phone numbers, whatever, pleasantries. And usually that's it when you bump into people. But he called me after a couple of weeks and said that he was looking for a tour manager for an upcoming European tour. This was in 2000. And I said, well, man, I'll, give me a couple of days. I'll see if I can find somebody who's available. And he said, no, man, you misunderstand me. I know who I want. I want you to be my tour manager. Have you tour managed before? And I said, yeah. I hadn't, but I've been on the road enough to know what a tour manager does and, how to get under his skin.
There you go.
As it were, being on the other side. So that's how it happened. And I thought it would just be a one-off, help him out. And it turned into, I did tour management for him for about 10 years, probably longer, probably about 12 years worldwide, including the States and, everywhere. And it was only until 2011, 2012 where I stopped doing the States, because I was in that period that I'd been working for him. I'd basically given up on, music myself. I was just doing bits and pieces in between, but I wasn't writing anymore. And I figured, that's it, I'm done. And I kind of got back into it a bit, and then figured I needed a little bit of time to start something myself. If I'm gone all the time, nobody wants to start a band with somebody who's never there, right?
Right.
So I stopped working in the States in about 2011, and then basically started, some ideas of my own, doing some stuff of my own. But I kept working with him in Europe and in some other places. And I still work for him, except last year. Obviously, nobody was out on the road.
Right.
But hopefully, sometime this year we can pick it up again. And yeah, tour managing Walter, man, it's fun. It's cool to do it from the other side. So it's basically the whole picture now. I've been on stage in the spotlight, and then with him, I'm off stage, taking care of everything that needs to be taken care of.
Yeah, watching from the other side of the fence. That's what I like to call it.
Yeah, definitely. And it was in the beginning. It was weird, but it's definitely made me appreciate both sides of the both sides of the fence, as it were.
Right.
Much more.
Yeah, and I know there's a ton. I mean, I personally never did that, but I do know that there's a ton of work that goes into those shows.
Oh yeah, I mean, hey, back in the day, here's the thing: when I was on the road with Sleeze Beez, especially when we toured the States, I was always aware and appreciative of crew and what was going on around me. No disrespect to the guys in the band, but they definitely took partying to the next level. And for me, it was just something I couldn't do because I had to take care of my voice. It's excruciating on the road. You don't sleep much. You're in a tour bus, with 10 other guys. Everybody's farting and belching and up late and keeping you up. And so I had to really, really knuckle down on just taking care of myself, which made me more aware of what was going on and appreciated, the driver. I was always up front with the driver, 6 a.m., seeing the sun come up and talking with him. And I was always, the crew, the guy who sell the merch. So I was subconsciously back then always aware of these people. So when it came around to doing tour management stuff, it's basically reversed. You reverse everything because now you're on the other side. But because I've been aware of it, it was easy for me to fit in. So I just say, okay, so what do I need to do to make sure that this guy is in the best position to jump on stage and give his best performance? That's all it is.
Right.
It's the reverse thing. It's what I would expect if I was on stage and I had a guy working for me, then, what do I expect this guy to do? So it was just a reverse thing. And it worked out, even though I hadn't physically done a tour managing gig, I definitely knew how to do it.
Right. And you talk about your vocals, and that's something else. You can knock a guitar out of tune and tune it right back up, man. You mess up your throat, then you you can't just tune it back up.
Snap a string, man. You just put on a new set, right?
Yeah.
But your voice goes, and it's tough, man. I bet you there's singers out there that hang on, let me just switch this off.
You there?
Sorry, man.
Oh, you're fine.
I quit the wrong program. Are we back on? We still? Oh.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Now you're way distorted. Let me just turn you down a bit here. Am I okay?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. You just turn the video off.
Video's off here.
Yeah.
You're just a little distorted here. Let me see what's going on. That's okay. So where were we? What did I say?
Now we were talking about the whole vocal thing.
Oh, the vocal thing. Yeah. So, there's some singers out there that are naturally gifted and can just do whatever they want and stuff. But for me, I really have to work my voice. I don't have to worry so much about, pitch and, singing. If I sing a song, it comes really easy. I don't have to think about that, but just actually taking care of my voice, the physical side of it, warming up, not going over the top with alcohol and stuff, and getting enough sleep so that my voice can actually give it time to rest, and so that it's at its peak the next evening. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. I really have to knuckle down on that, and that's cool. I don't really have a problem with that, but it's definitely you have to be really what's the word I'm looking for? there's a lot of self-discipline involved in
Right.
that.
Absolutely. So besides, singing, I know you play a little guitar. Do you play any other instruments?
No, not well. Yeah, cowbell and a shaker,
Cowbell and shaker.
and a tambourine.
Gotcha. Yeah.
No, I play a little guitar. I mean, I can get away with some stuff. I always put it like that, and enough to write and to come up with stuff, and enough to be able to play second fiddle to our guitar player in 7 Miles to Pittsburgh.
Right.
But other than that, no, it's that and vocals. I don't really. No, I mean, if you count, chopsticks on the piano as playing an instrument, then I can play piano.
Okay, fair enough. Oh man, so yeah, and then are you still currently doing any of? I mean, obviously nobody's doing anything right this moment, but the physical graffiti, the Led Zeppelin tribute.
Oh yeah, man, that is something that that I've been doing now for 10 years, and. It's a good gig. It's a steady thing that we do at a pretty good size audiences that we pull. Nice stages. Like with good sound systems and a great light show that we can actually put down a performance. And like I said, 10 years now. I'm going on about maybe 60, 70 shows a year. And it's cool, man. It's a great way also of keeping my my voice in shape. Obviously there's a difference between being on stage and singing than under the shower, for example, or just practicing at home. So no, that Zeppelin band's doing the physical graffiti tribute is still kicking it up. Obviously last year we did a bunch of shows January, February, March, and then lockdown kicked in, and we were supposed to do a bunch of shows this January, February, March, but obviously that's not going to happen. So all those shows have been moved to 22.
Okay. Well, that's great, man. I would like to ask you a few fun fact questions if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
All right. So, there is no wrong answer to none of these. This is just for fun. But,
I wish they said that at school.
Right? That would have made it a hell of a lot easier.
Right.
All right, man. I'm just going to ask you something here. So, Eddie Van Halen or Randy Rhoads, man?
Eddie Van Halen all the way.
All right. One album you could not live without if you could only pick one.
Ooh, poor man. Put me on the spot.
Yeah. Nobody likes that question for some reason.
No, I'm looking over my shoulder now at my record collection, and just that would be an album that you would always go for. One that's it's gonna, man. I don't know. I just in that case, if that was the case, and I was stuck on an island somewhere, I just have a Spotify account, and then I could listen to all my records.
Oh, okay, that's cheating, but I'll take it, man.
No, I'll throw one at you. God, man, it's easy to say the Beatles or the Stones. Yeah, maybe let it be the Beatles.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, and this is always a good argument: Megadeth or Metallica.
I'm probably going to get in a lot of trouble if I say neither of those guys.
Hey, you can answer it however you want.
No, it'd be Metallica. I mean, I don't really know much Megadeth. I mean,
okay.
I know of the history, and I know Dave Mustaine, and him being part of Metallica in the beginning, and there being, his fact that he got kicked out or whatever or left, gave him the encouragement he needed to make his own band. I'll show these guys kind of attitude. So, I kind of, but Metallica are probably, more influential as far as that genre of rock goes. So yeah, Metallica.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, it was nice though to see those guys kind of reconcile a little bit, and they did that big tour together, which was really cool.
Yeah, yeah, that was cool, definitely. Neat, so. Yeah, music should be about that. It shouldn't be about this guy did that to me, and this guy did that. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just music, man.
It is
making some melodies and trying to make other people's lives a lot, more bearable and a better place. That's what it's about.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And it's kind of sad because a lot of people still hold that grudge. That's why a lot of these bands are, there's either two of the same band or you got three of the guys over here and two of the guys over here. It's kind of,
yeah, it's crazy.
It is. It's like
to me, that's
life's too short, man. Let's do it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and you know what? I can understand, like, say in the beginning, or like, you've been together 5 years or 6 years or 7 years. Dave Lee Roth left Van Halen, and there's countless examples of that. But yeah, you get older, wiser, hopefully, and then it's like, you know what? You did that back when you were younger. Let's just do it for old time's sake. That's what we did with the Bees. After 15 years, we just got back together and did it, and it was cool.
Yeah.
There's no grudges, no hard feelings about whatever trivial stuff that happened, because it turns out that at the end of the day, when you look back, you go like, really? Is that what we were bitching about?
Yeah, you think about it now, it's probably silly, but
yeah, exactly.
Would you ever entertain, I think I asked this before, would you ever entertain the idea of doing another Sleeze Beez album, or are you good with what you got going on now?
I think I'd entertain it, and we talked about this last week. Is that I'd rather do or concentrate my efforts on something new for me, which I think 7 Miles to Pittsburgh, even though it's in the genre of rock music, whatever, it's definitely left field from what I was doing back in the 80s.
Oh yeah,
but back in the 80s, that was what you did. And that's and that was it. So to actually carbon copy that era now would be with all respect to anybody who is out there doing it, would be a waste of time for me, because basically I've done it, and to make something that sounds like kind of the same is just it's just not worth doing. But having said that, if that band if we were ever to get into a studio or a wherever situation where we were writing songs again, yeah, who knows whether it would be an exact copy or of what we did back then. I doubt very much. It probably turned into something completely different. Yeah. But I wouldn't say no to that. Definitely not. I hold no grudges against those guys, and I think it's mutual. So who knows?
Awesome. Well, fair enough, man. I appreciate that.
If the carrot's big enough.
There you go. Well, man, hey, would you like to, while I got you on here, you want to holler out, some websites and stuff where people can find 7 Miles to Pittsburgh?
Yeah, 7 Miles to Pittsburgh. You can go to www.7mtp.nl. So we're a Dutch band, obviously. That's a Dutch domain number. We also have a webpage for Physical Graffiti, our Zeppelin band, and that's www.physicalgraffiti.eu, European Union. And Facebook, same thing, 7 Miles to Pittsburgh, Physical Graffiti, and also still Sleeze Beez. We're on Facebook. So I think we have a Sleeze Beez website too, but that's kind of dormant at the moment. But you can check it out. It's www.sleazebeez.com.
Right on.
I think.
Well, that's great. Well, Andrew, it's been great, man. I appreciate your time as always.
Yeah, man. And thanks for listening to that new stuff, because I just wanted to say this is just the fact that you can record stuff now without having to go into these expensive mega studios is great. But on the other hand, it's that because everybody is doing it. There's so much stuff out there, and there's no record companies as there were back in the days to promote it. So you're basically left to your own devices to find it, through and then literally the web out there. It's a jungle. So a lot of people aren't really aware of the fact that I'm still, in the music business, still writing music, still recording, still releasing. So it's great, talk to guys like you out there that are willing to just give it a little push, so people go like, hey man, well, like yourself, you didn't know. that I'd done something, hadn't listened to it, but yeah, go ahead. I mean, check it. You know, if you can't afford to buy the CD or the LP, the vinyl, which we have for sale, you can listen to it. It's on Spotify. So check it out and see what you think, man. That's the most important thing to me, is that people listen to it, you know, and if they dig it, play it again.
Yeah. And I got to be honest with you, man, not too much usually gets by me, but for some reason that one slipped through the cracks on me, and I'm sure glad that we talked and I got to listen, because I really enjoyed both albums.
Cool, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah. And yeah, Bad Enough, man. I'm going to go crank it right now, dude. That album,
Okay.
they sound freaking amazing too. So you guys did a hell of a job.
It's an old chicken coop, man, where we recorded them. Literally, I can tell you, there's no secrets to it. We got 2 high-end speakers to listen through. We got this old computer, which is with software on it, and we have a little, without getting too technical here, a digital analog converter with some microphones, and that's it. But everything on there is real. It's real drums, real B3, guitars, and vocals. Obviously, it's all done in old school way, but without tape. It's all
right.
And it's all direct to discs, and it doesn't have to cost that much. You just need to have some great musicians to work with and some cool ideas. That's it.
Perfect. So I got to ask, so I know everybody's got a great story to tell. So anything interesting ever happened on the road that you would like to share?
I mean, tons of stuff, I mean, let me think. It's been a while.
Right.
We're out on the road. Now we all the crazy stuff you hear about and read about in, whoever feels like writing a book. I mean, that happens all the time. Okay, a crazy story. When we were out on the road, I didn't drink for reasons, I just needed to keep my voice in shape. And we did a 80 shows, over the course of the summer in 90, and it's rough for a singer, especially you're not hardly getting any sleep. You're doing a lot of traveling, it's a tour bus isn't as glamorous as one might think. But on days off, hey, it's a day off, right? So I'm gonna have a couple. So, but I remember once in Memphis when we'd share rooms on a day off, and I shared rooms with Chris, the other guitar player, and he was always up to no good and antics and stuff like that. And I remember coming home late. I think I just stayed at the hotel bar and had a couple, and I went, fuck this, I'm going to, excuse my French, I'm going to bed. And he was still out about, I don't know what he was doing. But I remember waking up like at 4 or 5 a.m., not knowing what was going on, where I was. And like after, it seemed like minutes, but it's probably only seconds, I figured I'm upside down against the wall, still in my bed. What he done, he'd come home, and he's like, yeah, I had too many to drink, saw me sleeping, tried to wake me up. I wouldn't wake up. So he lifted the bed up and put it against the wall. So I ended up, upside down against the wall. Wondering, what the hell is going on here? Obviously cussed him out. And, what the hell are you doing, man? Stuff like that happened all the time. You just, in hindsight, it's funny and it's, you laugh at it. But I'll tell you what, man, I was pissed off at that point.
I can understand waking up upside down and get you a little irritated.
Especially, you have no idea what's going on, right? You're in deep sleep, and then all of a sudden it's like, geez, what's going on? Well, he had a good time, and he had a good laugh out of it. And I can laugh at it now,
Oh, yeah.
Stuff like that all the time, man.
Well, man, I really appreciate your time today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, Andrew. It's been a pleasure.
You too, man. Hey, we'll keep in touch, man. I'll let you know when I got something for you guys to listen to, some new stuff.
Absolutely, buddy. I'll make sure I do that. You take care of yourself.
Okay. You too, man. All the best.
Yep, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
That concludes today's episode of the Metal Bob Live podcast. Please see our website for our sponsor links. Thank you for listening. Metal Bob out.